My name is Daniel Davis, and I'm the Director of Landlord Relations at HOME Inc. in Phoenix, Arizona. And we administer the Threshold Service, which is Maricopa County's centralized landlord engagement service for the whole COC. So in 2020, HOME Inc., in partnership with one of our rapid rehousing providers, UMOM New Day Centers, surveyed all the landlords throughout our community who would respond, asking them why they're reluctant to work with the homeless system. Overall, the feedback was pretty unanimous. There's a stigma against homelessness, who these tenants are going to be, who's receiving vouchers, what kind of support they have, a guarantee of rent, and then also, obviously, there's some additional operational costs when you have quite a few tenants who have a rental assistance voucher. We identified what the pain points would be for damage claims and for vacancy loss, what owners and operators call risk mitigation. The big problem that we learned from our survey is number one, owners and operators don't really know that there's, first of all, a difference between Section 8, right, and housing choice vouchers, and then obviously all the other vouchers that come from the other side of HUD. So what's rapid rehousing? What's SSVF? What is PSH? And then what are all the different flavors and variations of those? Education was a big point. It's a hard system to navigate, even for people inside the system. Like knowing who to call when for which client is like really difficult. And then, like layers of Medicaid and behavioral health, and then, lots of ROI layers make it more difficult. And then also, there's just the financial component. We have a lot of partners who had been really burned by the lack of damage claim or the lack of case management support or just the lack of on-time rental assistance payments from, some of our partners. So we got this survey. We took the results and just turned it into a basic kind of factoid PowerPoint, and we pitched it to everybody who would listen. And we went to every funder at the time. We pitched a full centralized model where everything would be in, it's like a one-stop shop. Everything exists in one central place. And we kept talking about, rising tides lift all boats. So if we're able to centralize everything, then everybody also benefits from the services that we're doing. Maricopa County said, hey, we don't want you to have to worry about braiding funding for every municipality. Just do it for the whole county, which is our COC's regional limits as well. And make sure that we're able to support all owners and operators, all providers, and then all tenants who are coming out of the homeless system. So that also enabled us to start building relationships with some of the executives locally who own either real estate investment trusts or ownership groups or property management companies, and develop those relationships from the top down instead of just recruiting individual properties. We went to the Arizona Multi-Housing Association. We developed an advisory council with them, and we said, hey, like, we hear what you're saying. We want to make a good faith effort to develop a solution. Here's how much money we have. What does this look like? So what we did is we took all the pain points and suggestions from the survey, and we just put them into buckets and then determined, okay, we need something to help offset the operational costs. We need a centralized number for owners and operators to call. We need somebody else to navigate the homeless system for them. We need a more robust risk mitigation fund than we currently had. We used to have $40,000 for the whole state of Arizona, which dried up in like 3 requests. And now we have $8 million over 4 years to do incentives, damage claims, vacancy loss, and then also fund a full team of 10 people to do all the engagement outreach and then also operate our internet-based listing service. One of the big lessons that we didn't know we needed to learn was coming into owner and operator engagement as social workers or as clinicians or as nonprofit management people, right, leaders, is that we don't really speak landlord language. And the people who we've seen be the most successful in outreach and engagement are previous property managers, current real estate license holders, and other housing professionals. So they speak the language. They actually know what the main concerns are because they've experienced that same anxiety being a leasing agent and seeing your occupancy drop, or seeing a big, a really expensive unit turn. So getting people together to actually understand what the problem is, develop real specific and contextualized answers was really big for us. And what we landed on was a full suite of offerings for owners and operators to work with the system. We offer incentives, cash incentives at move-in. Um, I do say that, every community needs to figure out what's going to work for them based on how much money they have and what the market actually is like. We have a centralized hotline. So it's a 24-hour hotline. One of me or my supervisors are carrying it out at all times. And we are the ones who can help navigate the whole system. We don't expect an owner operator to take on, you know, they want to help end homelessness, but like they're not part of the homelessness system. We just want them to be owners and operators. So drawing that boundary, but also empowering them with the right number to call. And then we triage it out. We also offer risk mitigations. So we have damage claims, which is up to 3 times the monthly rent in reimbursement for damages, including arrears, cleaning costs, legal costs, cleaning fees, these kind of things. And then additionally, we offer 1 month's vacancy loss. So the time it takes to turn a unit, we also can reimburse for up to 1 month. The reason we decided to scale it like percentage based, like in months rent, is so that, we're not saying we could pay for everything for a small unit and then a large single family home, is going to be held to like that low amount that a 1 bedroom has. So the incentive and the risk mitigation funds all scale with the size, quality, location of a unit. That's been really uh, appealing for our new partners. In the first 2 years, we've recruited over 500 new property owners and managers to work with All Rapid, PSH, and select housing choice voucher programs. They operate and own over 1,000 properties. And so, where 3 years ago or 4 years ago, we had about 100 units that were working with our system, and we had 700 people with vouchers searching for housing, right? So that's a 1-to-7 ratio. Now we have 1,700 units, and we're actually overutilization for our Medicaid housing. We actually stopped recruiting explicitly about a year ago because we knew we were, unable to really fill more units until we have more funding for vouchers and supportive services. When we were first developing what Threshold was going to become, we knew that we'd have to bring a very professional business solution to the table in order for, especially the owners and executives of these larger firms to listen to us and take us seriously. We developed very coordinated and very intentional sales pitches based on the audience that we were talking to, and then also our goals for that person. So we worked on, if we're talking to a property manager, what are we saying, right? A leasing agent, a community manager. If we're talking to an independent owner or operator, what are we saying? If we're talking to an executive, what are their main fears, their concerns, what are their main goals? And realistically, what can we do to like help ease their fears? Once we developed this full suite of solutions, what we found out was, oh wait, we're offering a better solution than most market tenants, right? Like if a market tenant blows up a unit or leaves or has an issue, like they have no support. Nobody's helping them get another job. Nobody's helping, mitigate the cost of operating that unit. And so we really started, and this is all available on our website, thresholdaz.com. You could see the comparison of like the financial breakdown. Then our partners at the Arizona Multi-Housing Association took that and started saying like, hey, everybody, like not only is this a great profitable solution to some of the concerns we've had, these people have reached out and asked for honest opinion, and they're acting in good faith to offer a real solution. And so our advisory council was made up of, one of the lobbyists for the multi-housing industry, lawyers that represent landlords, some of the largest property management, development, and ownership groups, And all of them just started saying like, hey, this is working for us, right? Like everybody needs to try this. The CEO of the AMA at our launch told all of her members to try one unit at every property. We're not asking to like start recreating projects using scattered site vouchers. We want to actually reintegrate people into the community. In Phoenix, we had been leasing most of our tenants up at the same properties over and over. And so, obviously, if people are coming out of traumatic situations, and we're putting them all together, like we're going to have more behavioral issues according to the landlords, right? So by engaging all property owners and managers at an executive level and then a regional level, and then slowly cascading our way down the organization, we were able to actually get the buy-in of the organization instead of having to sell to a property manager who's probably concerned about, is this a fair housing violation? What happens if they don't pay their rent? What am I going to tell my boss? Well, now it's the opposite, where we're engaging the top down, and now their boss is saying, hey, we work with Threshold. All of our properties need to be updated in admission and need to be available to these voucher holders. If you have any questions, we will help you figure out the software, right? So that was a huge turning point where effectively, our partners were recruiting for us. And then we have really good faith partners, right? Like we don't often bridge the gap there to the other side of the aisle to figure out where the win-win opportunities actually are. Again, an ongoing advisory council was really crucial because as we faced issues with either some of our, larger new partners or there were systemic concerns, we were able to address it from the landlord's perspective, and that really continued to develop that buy-in.